Hey, I'm Dave Thomas III, your relationship coach, here at Faked Out by Love. How in the world do you keep a relationship advancing, healthy, and always moving forward? For a lot of people these days, that seems to be an extremely complicated thing to do. But it doesn't have to be. One of the first things that you need to know about moving a relationship forward and in the right direction is realizing that relationships are fueled primarily by this thing called attention. Attention is the top grade fuel of all relationships. Now, what happens when you starve a car of fuel? Well, you know, the car stops. It breaks down. It leaves you sitting on the side of the road, right? Well, when you starve a relationship of attention, good, healthy, honest attention, it's going to do the exact same thing. It's going to stop, or it's going to stall, then it's going to stop, and then it's going to leave you sitting in divorce court. Or it's going to leave you sitting on a couch next to a cold, empty spot while you keep watching reruns of Green Acres on TV Land. A relationship starved of the attention that a couple needs to give each other every single day will eventually become a dead relationship. And you know what the funny thing is? The people involved in that now dead relationship that's gone away because it has no attention added to it don't even have to move out of the same dwelling. They can still be living in the same house, sleeping in the same bed every night, but the relationship itself is long gone. The second thing is that two people need to allow each other to be themselves. They need to allow each other to have and nurture and exercise their own personal sense of identity. Now, of course, this particular point could be highly subjective, right? I mean, this is, of course, assuming that the other person that you're in a relationship with isn't some kind of super egomaniacal, personality disordered, crazy person, serial killer, or something like that. Then pretty much everything else can be worked on and is good for allowing people to be themselves. Just remember, it takes individual members to make up a whole team. And each one of those members has their own personality, their own whims, their own desires, their own proclivities, and we should show proper respect for that. Another means, and a great means of keeping a relationship healthy and moving forward, is never insisting on having every single thing your way all the time. I remember once I was dating this girl a few years ago, and every single time I went over to her house, if I wanted to take a glass or something out of her kitchen cabinet and put water in it to drink, I would have to rinse it out first. And she would be watching me a lot of times to make sure I rinsed it out. I didn't know what the big deal was because, after all, the glass was in the cabinet because it had already been washed and it was clean. When I was at my house, or whenever I was at my house, I didn't do that. Just take the glass out, put water in, and drink it. But that's what she insisted on doing while in her house. Now, would it really hurt me to do that? No. So when I was in her house, guess what? I didn't insist on doing things the way I wanted to do them. If it didn't kill me to do it, I'd rinse the damn glass out before I used it, then drink out of it. If it's not going to necessarily kill you or hurt you, to allow something to be done differently than how you normally do it, or to do something differently than how you normally do it, then what's the big deal? What's the harm? Go ahead and do it, or go ahead and allow it to be done. You're going to survive it. I guarantee you. You're going to live to see the end of it, and it's going to be a whole new day tomorrow. Now, here's a fourth one, and this is also a big one. I like to look at it this way. Speak only 20%, but listen 80%. Now, that's a huge problem with a lot of us today. We want to do a whole lot more speaking than we want to do hearing. But you know, you learn more when you listen and pay attention to what somebody else is saying or what somebody else is doing than you do when you're busy espousing your opinion, your points of views, and the way that you would do or say things, or how you would conduct a certain particular piece of business. Learn to listen more than you speak. And in a relationship, this is especially critical, and I don't care what kind of relationship it is, whether it's business, whether it's a romantic or an emotional relationship. Learn to speak only 20% and listen 80%, because it's inside of that 80% where you're going to find most of your gold and the fuel that's going to propel that relationship forward. Fifth point, Be honest. Always be honest. One of the beautiful things about honesty, even though it's not always so comfortable or easy to give, is that when two people in a relationship are honest with one another, they never have to guess where they stand with one another. So if my girl says, "Do these jeans make my butt look big?" I'd be like, "Oh yeah." Now the sixth point I want to make is also, just like all the other ones, really, really big, but very seldom ever discussed. Never allow yourself to get too comfortable in your relationship. When we get comfortable in the relationship, it's too easy to start taking each other for granted. That is a very dangerous and very destructive quality to add to a relationship, and it also leads to complacency in a relationship. That's why you never allow yourself to get too comfortable. You got to look for ways to build the relationship up, and to remember that relationships are scalable, evolutionary events. They're meant to change, but to improve all the time. And the last point that I like to make about how to help a relationship stay forwardly mobile and always advancing is learn how to fight fair. Even during moments of intense disagreement, remember that ultimately you're both fighting for each other, not against each other. Like somebody told me one time, keep the sex dirty and the fights clean. Yeah, I had to throw that in there. Well, everybody, there you have it. A few ways that you can keep your relationship moving forward, advancing, and most importantly, improving. If you like this video, and I'm sure that you do, be sure to hit like, comment, and share. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel just yet, reach down there right now while we're talking about this and hit the subscribe button. And while you're at it, go on over there like a half an inch or so and hit that notification bell. That way you will be notified every single time I upload a video, okay? You'll be the first one to know. Well, again, my name is Dave Thomas III. I'm your relationship coach here at Faked Out by Love. I look forward to hearing from you and seeing you again.